So I always like to start talking about this topic by categorizing the ways that passwords get stored. So a password can be stored in a system in one of three ways. It's either stored in plain text, the same way you write it, or stored hashed, or they can be hashed with something called a salt. But first of all, you would think that no one would store passwords in plain text, right? I just saw this tweet. So the tweet says, the year is 2020, and I've just discovered an e-commerce site which emails you your password in clear text. You wouldn't think someone would do that, but it is still true. All right, so passwords that get hashed. Whenever you enter a password, it doesn't get stored in plain text. It gets hashed into a different value that is long, and this hash is the one that gets stored. Whenever you come to log in again to the website, you enter the password, and the password gets hashed, and the hashes gets compared. If the hashes are the same, then this means that you know the password, then you're allowed access to the website. If the website gets compromised, then the attackers do not know your password in plain text. They actually know a hash of your password. They now have to crack this hash in order to find out what the password is. Let's talk about how passwords get attacked. First, easiest way is stealing. You write it down on a note and somebody gets it. Or shoulder surfing. So stealing is easy. There's not a lot to talk about in stealing. There's also guessing. Somebody can start trying manual guessing of the passwords. Guessing can happen in one of two ways, either online or offline. Online means that there is a system that allows the user to type up their username and password to log into that system. If someone keeps trying entering passwords and every time it tells them the password is incorrect, then they can try guessing until they hit the correct password. If they do it, then they will get access to the system. Offline happens when the attacker has a copy of the password hash. If they have a copy of the password hash, then they can take the password that they're guessing, hash it using the same algorithm, and then find out if the hash that is output is similar to the one that was leaked or was obtained or not, until they find two similar hashes, and then now they know what the password is. Offline password guessing is hard to prevent because the password hash is already leaked. What about online password guessing? How do you think online password guessing can be prevented? By limiting the number of attempts someone can try to log in. So this is why today in most of the websites, if you try to log in successfully for 3 times, then you get locked out. They tell you like you're logged out for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, or so on. And then if you try again after 3 more times, you're locked out for more time. So having a lockout policy is really important to eliminate or prevent or minimize password guessing. So let's talk about dictionary attacks. So password guessing means that there is a human that's doing it. When we talk about dictionary attacks, we actually are automating this process. So all the guesses that we can think of, we'll put them in something called a dictionary. We'll give this dictionary to the computer, and the computer will try to do the cracking. And this usually happens offline, doesn't happen online, due to the increased amount of websites that have lockout policies nowadays. If someone has their hands on a hash of a password, then how can they run a dictionary attack? What happens is that the software takes the dictionary word, hash it, and compare it with the hash that needs to be cracked. If it's not the same, it goes to the next entry. Hash it and then compare. Hash, compare, hash, compare, hash, compare, until it finds one. If it didn't find one, then the password was not in the dictionary. But what is the cost of this dictionary attack process? It is very time consuming, and it is very resource consuming also, because all these are processes that you have to do, right? So for every word in the dictionary, you have to hash and compare. Hash and compare. Remember, there are 2 steps here, right? So it takes a long time. One more thing is it can fail. It can fail because the dictionary didn't have the right word. The password was mango123 and it was not available in the dictionary. So it was not successful. If you want to run a dictionary attack that is successful, it has to be a brute force attack where you have all of the words for a certain list, all the combinations in one dictionary. But this makes the dictionary too big and it takes longer time. Well, the cost here is certainly more time, but in return, you will always find the password. So brute force attacks are very computationally expensive and are usually the least efficient in terms of hash cracked per processor time, but you will always find the password. And then there is a more optimized process that is called rainbow table attacks. In rainbow table attacks, it saves you the time, but requires a lot of storage because it takes the dictionary or the brute force dictionary that has everything in it, and it hashes it and stores the hashes, stores the combination of what this is and its corresponding hash in a big table. And then when you try to crack the password, then remember what we said in dictionary attacks? We said hash and then compare. The first step, the hashing, has already been done. So the process has been minimized. You only need to compare whatever hashes are inside this file with the hash that you've got your hands on until you find a match. When you find a match, you see the corresponding plain text and you say, this is the password. What is the cost for rainbow tables here? It requires an extra space, yes. So it's a time memory trade-off. In order to minimize the time, we need more memory because rainbow tables can be very huge in size.